think about 9/11, I just think about a lot of tragedy and death and really horrendous things that happen for no good reason to a lot of good people, and it's frightening and it's scary to a lot of people.
What about you personally?
Me personally, the same thing. It's nice to think that we're all invincible, and it's nice to think that we can keep ourselves safe from whatever we want, but anything can happen at any time. The subway stops for a second, I start wondering what's going on. I second guess everything that happens. I worry about my friends when they go out to public places.
Think about 911.
Well, it was a very stressful time for everyone down here. What I really remember about it was just being here at the time and just wondering what was going to happen. Your money, how are you going to survive? Were you going to be able to get out of the city?
How did it affect you personally, if at all?
Well, I had one relative that was killed. So the family was very upset, of course. I would like to see things get to a point where people can work their problems out, but when you have a situation where people just have like totally different attitudes toward things, I don't see it being resolved.
I was driving down the street, saw the second tower fall, and I couldn't believe what was happening.
How did it affect you personally?
Personally, not very heavily, only because I have a tendency to not be affected by major incidents, but I don't know. It definitely opened my eyes as well. You know, I started thinking about the fact that the United States isn't the end-all be-all of the world, you know, and hopefully it opened some people's eyes. It definitely opened my eyes.
9/11, unfairness, treachery, evil, like towards that, I get pissed off. It's wrong, it was bad. Bad what they did. They need to pay. Maybe sad for a while, but I haven't changed my life. I'm generally the same.
So you're not afraid of New York?
No way. First thing I did was go downtown and go check that out. I'm not scared of too much of anything, really.
What comes to your mind when you think about 911?
It was a moment when time kind of stopped because I woke up to it, and it was on the news. Instantaneously knew that it was an attack of some sort, and the news was going on about how it was a terrible accident and how could the FCC let this happen, and I felt a little bit of shame that the news was purporting that this could have been just an accident. And then
how did it affect you personally?
Being a citizen of Manhattan and living in Lower Manhattan and working on Lower Broadway, all I can think of now is every plane seems to be flying a little bit lower. I look over my shoulder a little bit more often. I'm a little bit nicer to cops and firemen, and just makes you more cautious. Emotionally, I've always considered myself a little jaded, and I've never felt safe, and I've always been scared of death, so it just perpetuated that within me.
Well, when I think of the event itself, I mean, obviously the news footage that's shown over and over again of the towers coming down, that's, you know, the first thing that comes to mind. But actually, I mean, specifically, there's one, I have a cousin that lives very far out in Brooklyn, like, you know, it's a good at least 10 or 15 miles from the, from ground zero. And on his front lawn, on a, you know, it's a remarkable distance, and on his front lawn was a piece of paper from the 83rd floor. It had flown all the way, you know, taken by a current and landed right on his front lawn.
How
did it affect me personally? Well, I knew a couple of people that died that day, and I mean, you could tell how it affected me personally. If you went down there, as I had to, shortly thereafter I took a job that was, I want to say 4 or 5 blocks. I still work there 4 or 5 blocks from the event, and for the first couple of months after it happened, you could really feel it was tangible what was going on. I mean, there were, you know, it felt alive. You know, there were 2,000 or 3,000 souls just without direction, just, you know, floating around downtown.
It's crazy that somebody was able to leap through the loopholes in, you know, in the security of America and be able to put us in such a state where we're like, holy shit, like, how did this happen? Personally, I would have to say it really scared me. But prior to everything happening for September 11th, I was planning on coming here, and when everything went down, my parents were like, no, you can't go, and I was like, no way. I'm like, I'm going. I'm like, you know, if I don't go, I'm like, they've won, because, you know, it's like they've done their job. You know, they're terrorists. They've terrorized everybody into like leaving New York, and I was like, no way. I gotta go. I gotta pursue my dreams. I gotta pursue my goals. So, you know, I'm still here, so I'm happy.